All right, we're here.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the vote.
Principal Hudson, please
Yes, ma'am.
remind me to get you the speakerphone.
Oh, yes.
And a wide angle lens, maybe?
I'm sorry, what?
And if you have a wide angle camera,
I have a wide angle camera and a speakerphone that Principal Hudson can borrow for the rest of the school year, and then he can check it out again next year. So in fact, I will send you that checkout request.
Via what? Email?
I'm sorry, what?
Via email?
Yep. And then I will come by and work with anybody you want in your building to show them how to set it up and make sure it's all working.
Okay.
Because we're full service here in the Go Team
Thank-
office.
I know I got some calls yesterday, so thank you.
are we ready?
Yep. Just let me share the screen.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Sarah Smith Elementary Go Team meeting where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and posted on the Sarah Smith Elementary Go Team page. I'm pleased to call this meeting of the Sarah Smith Elementary Go Team to order. Our first order of business is to call roll.
Dwight Hudson,
Present?
Simona Hinton Derrickson,
Present.
Ian Mittman, Jennifer Moore, present. Andrea Almara, present. Lakeisha Smith, present. Christy Stewart, here. Carla Lamar,
Present.
Ben Miller, St. Lawrence Way.
He's on the
He's
call.
online.
Perfect, okay.
I'm present. I don't know if you said that. I was taking myself off mute.
And Elizabeth Zelensky's present.
And
too.
Elizabeth Valencia, sorry,
Uh,
I'm out of sorts.
This team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Is there a quorum present?
Yes.
Okay, our first order of business is to approve the agenda. As we stated, this was provided and posted on the website. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
A brief discussion about gifted.
Okay, so within the principal's report, you think, or do you want it earlier than that?
It's earlier in the presentation.
Okay,
And I've adjusted the agenda online.
okay, great. Any other changes? May I have a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the gifted report? Thank you, Ms. Stewart, and I think that was a second from Carla. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Okay, we will now also review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes were emailed to you in advance. Are there any corrections to the meeting minutes from November? If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
A motion to.
Thank you, Lakeisha. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Almario. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Thank you. Okay, our first action item is going to be to turn it over to Mr. Hudson to do the gifted report or the strategic plan priority rankings in whichever order you choose.
All right, this is going to be a busy meeting,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't take that long. So we have action items for preparing
Teachers and
budget
staff, if
development.
William Morrow is in the building, please have him come to the front office. William Morrow, if you're in the building, please come to the front office.
Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is rank our strategic plan priorities in preparation for the 2025-26 budget development, which started in January and goes through March. The GO team needs to rank its strategic plan priorities, and we'll use the next slide to capture the priority ranking. So what I did was, and I'll pop this on the screen real quick. I took the responses from the survey that everyone responded to, and I assigned it a point value. Number one received 9 points, so forth and so on. And then I just took the totals and ranked them from top highest score to bottom. So that is how I came up with these, the priorities that we have. But we also discussed merging. In the commentary, I heard something about, and I agree with it completely, about simplification and maybe bring it down, a few, like not have as many goals, but we also have to look at the format that we had when we initially did this, because it talks about the different categories, including, signature program, whole child and intervention, and so forth. So the actual format kind of dictated that we had a little bit more than what we would like. But from the superintendent standpoint, and I agree, we just need to get back to the simplicity of the mess, as we call it, math, English, social studies, and science. And along with that, of course, our signature program and the other things that we do to ensure that our children are successful. So let's take a look at what we came up with. Everyone should have received a sheet here in case they're looking at changing some, or if we all agree with these as a team, or if we have anything that we need to adjust. So let's just take a couple minutes to look at that first.
I'm getting my things mixed up, but whole child intervention, is that Ashley's role, Ashley
No, that's
Upshaw, or is that the former peer team?
former care team.
Since we know that we'll also be reviewing the strategic plan again this year, and we can take that time to further simplify it if we want to. I mean, I like the ranking as it's come out right now. And I do think it could be simpler, but I think it hits reading in the top one, it hits math in the second one, high expectations in the third. I mean, to me, those are like the top three.
Definitely, number one surpassed everything by a long shot. Like that was very important in everyone's ranking. Even if they didn't rank it as number one, I think 5 out of the people that took it ranked it as number one. And then the other ones, it was pretty high as well. Okay, so then,
Could 3 and 7 possibly, we talked about shortening, 3 and 7 possibly combined.
Yeah, I think that, they could, I mean, even, I mean, we could.
I feel like 3 and 7 kind of speak to different things.
Mhm.
To me, number 3 speaks to the culture of the school and what is expected of teachers, staff, employees, students, and how they interact with each other and also with parents in the community. And to me, 7 has to do more along social emotional learning.
And curriculum.
And
arts.
and art, so this is really about our specials
Yeah. so
and
to
the
me,
child being
it's about
well-rounded.
special- The addition to, to the mess, as you said.
Maybe 8 and 3.
8 and 3, I feel like they definitely can be merged.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And we keep it as number 3.
Yes, we could, yeah.
Maybe you could just say that includes all stakeholders.
Yeah.
School-wide
I'd be
culture,
interested.
Create a
expectations.
school
That
community
includes all stakeholders.
culture. With high schools and the, for all students.
All stakeholders, yeah. Just include it all.
I would like, after you do that, I would prefer 7 to be 5. Because art is part of the curriculum. Social emotional learning is needed for everything else.
Yeah, to be a good human.
Yeah.
And that's ingrained in IB. Mhm.
So we're saying 7 to be 5.
I
Could
would,
we combine
I
7
think we
and
could
5
put 7 and 5 together.
and say?
well, for the arts, is IB necessarily the arts, or the arts are their own standalone discipline? Right, isn't IB more of like character,
No, IB
No.
includes everything.
everything?
All of it.
So
But,
then,
but arts is a standalone thing as well.
No, it should be included as part of IB.
so
That
I'm saying
integrates
if we
with-
combine 5 and 7, and we're saying, align our school to be IB, does that send a message to our stakeholders that IB includes arts?
It does include all,
Yeah.
so.
So we could combine them?
I would think 2 and 7 is, and maybe say offer a rigorous, well-rounded curriculums with a focus on this, including
Math, science,
exposure
technology,
to
the arts.
appreciation of the arts and social emotional.
I feel like math should stand alone separate
I
from the
agree with
arts.
that.
I think the arts are important,
Yeah.
but I
Otherwise you're looking
personally
like a
think
state
math
school.
is worthy of a standalone.
It's just that for our students who are very artistically inclined,
Mhm.
I don't want it to feel like it's a sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I think that 7 could definitely be merged or moved up to 5.
So we could create a well-rounded IB focused curriculum that develops the whole child by providing more exposure to an appreciation of the arts.
So we're voting to move, so we're saying we're gonna merge 5 and 7 and leave it at 5. We are eliminating 8. Just gonna cross a line through 8. We've merged that with 3 by just adding that includes all stakeholders. And we just need to see how we're gonna merge 5 and 7 together.
Is it too much to try to compose the arts and social emotional learning and IB into one?
That cohesively aligns our school system, cultivate a global learning community, create a well-rounded curriculum that develops the whole child by providing more exposure and appreciation to the arts, social emotional learning,
Yeah.
using the resources of the IB curriculum.
I feel like these are really wordy and there's like lots of jargon. I feel like we need to like try to just be as like succinct as possible, like increase literacy achievement, increase math achievement, create high expectations. Like if those are our priorities, they should be clear as day and there should be, in my opinion, I don't think there should be any, well, what do you mean by offer? Or what do you mean by create? Or what do you mean by cultivate? It should be like, this is our priority and this is what we're trying to do. If there's like a way to like make that come across, I agree with the priorities.
Mhm.
I agree with at the heart what each one is saying. I just feel like we're getting a little fancy when we should just really be straight to the point. Because this is our priority.
So let's take it one step back. Does everyone agree with the order of the priorities?
The new one. Along with
This
what you
here.
said, yeah, with combining 5 and 7, doing that, or just,
I only
Just what you
disagree
see.
with 7. Everything else is fine. I only disagree with 7.
you think it should go before IB?
I just think it should be a little
Or a
higher.
little, like 6?
The only reason why I think it should be before IB is because if IB includes the entire curriculum, And I think art should have its own appreciation too, just like math and science does, and technology. And I'm not an art person, so I don't have a dog in the game.
You know, IB is the overarching transdisciplinary, so it should cross all subject areas. So I don't mind merging it, Paul, Carla, what are your thoughts, merging 5 and 7?
I mean, I want to put IB first. but-
Huh?
I want to put IB first, but,
I do feel like it should be first as well, but this is the vote.
um, think we can word it so that it includes. Yes, I think we can reword it to be IB, inclusive of the arts and social emotional learning.
If we can find a succinct way, I'm with that.
Do we have to say aligns our school system with IB resources, curriculum? Can we just say aligns IB to inclusive curriculum that supports diversity in population?
Yeah, could we just say something along the line of like provide an IB curriculum that supports our diverse population,
Including,
including including social emotional learning and appreciation of the arts?
Is IB a curriculum though, or would it be provide an IB community? I don't,
It is a curriculum.
okay.
I mean, it's not in the, yes, it is.
So, and you said provide an IB curriculum.
Well, we
With-
could say align our IB curriculum to support our diverse population through academics, the arts, and social emotional learning.
Say it again,
Through academics,
so start from the top.
align our IB curriculum to support our diverse population through academics, the arts, and social emotional learning.
I really like that because you just you aligned our IB, like you didn't talk about cultivating and making a community, and you aligned IB to our curriculum. Like that includes all of the things. I like that a lot.
I'm a slow writer, through academics, the arts.
The arts and social emotional.
And that's number 5.
Yes. Great call out.
I think that's fine. So what I have here for number 5 is align our IB curriculum to support our diverse population through academics, the arts, and social emotional learning.
Yes.
Number 5. And then take out number 7.
okay, and then 3 and 8.
3 and 8, we just added,
We removed 8.
Number 2.
create a school-wide culture of high expectations, trust, and strong communication that includes all stakeholders.
A lot too.
And then that makes number 9 now number 7.
Mhm. And then go back, Ms. Mentman, to what you said about number 1. You simplified it, and I wanted to hear it again.
I just said like increase literacy achievement or increase math achievement. I just was trying to make it as straight and to the point as possible because I feel like that's our priority. Like the way we do it would be to develop this community where all students are reading and writing across the curriculum, but like our priority is that they all achieve. And I think we should, that's my view on what priority I would like to see.
The only thing this is me and semantics, right? Because older kids would be increased, but what about your pre-K and K? They're still developing, right? Because they
Well,
don't have.
increase their literacy achievement regardless. You come in,
Do we want to talk about achievement or growth?
that's another thing I want to I wanted to bring up.
Because we could,
Ultimately aligning it to school goals is growth,
yeah,
because we get students where we get students.
So we could say grow students. I'd like to say something, no, it's on. Grow students. Increase students' growth through reading and writing across the curriculum.
Progress, evolve.
I think, I mean, if you want to keep going with like, I think we could just say increase student growth in reading and writing.
Cultivate, or just increase?
Because we want to increase it, that like, we want it to grow. We want it to come one way and be higher when they leave. So I feel like it's. Yeah, simple, just to keep it as simple as possible. Increase student growth in reading and writing. I guess that would,
I do like the word fluency when we provide it.
I
Shouldn't say
say-
use,
Hmm?
structured, what is it called? Structured literacy to increase student growth across the curriculum in reading and writing across. the curriculum.
Do you use structured literacy? I don't think that we do anymore, right?
We don't use balanced lips.
Okay, thank you. Structure, so
Well,
structured
I don't know,
literacy.
these have to say what we do.
It's all
not-
in the things, like the ways you're doing it, because we have the priorities and then you have the ways.
Right,
you're
that's what I'm
achieving the
asking,
priorities.
is that,
I feel like
we
that'd
just
be a
say
way
this
to
is what
achieve
we're
it.
gonna do, and the other thing is
Mhm.
how we're gonna, what we're gonna use.
Yeah.
So I think,
So, oops, I'm sorry, if I can interject really quickly. So remember that these priorities were taken directly from your strategic plan. It's fine if you want to talk about some of the semantics, but if you do agree on different semantics, then you're going to need to vote to update the strategic plan with the new semantics. And as somebody just pointed out, you have your priorities, which is kind of like, this is our goal. And then you have the strategies, which is how we're going to do it. So just want to keep that in mind, because this was supposed to be taken like straight from your strategic plan in terms of, oh, we're just ranking what we already wrote down. So if, again, this is, you guys own the plan. You can go and modify it. But I know I heard earlier in the conversation too, that in general, you guys all kind of agree with the sentiment, and you're talking about semantics now. And you all have to decide how long you want to spend on this conversation, considering everything else in today's meeting. You can always come back to semantics, but just trying to the governance part and time management. So thank you.
So let's go ahead and vote to keep, let's vote. I think the changes and the merging that we did are fine, so let's just, I can't motion to make the vote.
Yep. Do we have a motion to, what is it, accept the ranking of our priorities of the strategic plan as we have discussed them?
I move to accept the ranking as we have discussed.
Thank you, Carla. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the ranking of our priorities? Wait, Chair says, okay, may I now have a motion to adopt this action item?
Wait, do we need to vote on the?
It does not say to vote. Yeah, we can, if there's like an accept and an adopt.
So we do have to vote because we didn't vote last
Okay,
time.
yeah, let's.
yeah.
that-
So let's vote this time.
Okay. Diane, I don't understand the language here just in the script where it says we have to accept the motion and then we adopt the motion, but we're just taking one vote, correct?
Correct. I'll have to look at that.
All in favor of accepting these strategic priority rankings, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. The motion has carried.
Do we vote on mergers or?
The whole thing, we just voted on the whole thing.
Okay.
Yep. So now that is, we have done the strategic priority rankings.
All right. Thank you. And so now I have a brief update on the gifted delivery model. It will not affect us until the year 2026, 2027, which the state is eliminating the collaboration model. So we have next year, as we start planning on how we're going to make it happen, but I just wanted to put that out there for us to think about it. So the gifted collaboration model will be phased out. Next year, we will have over 300 gifted students. They've identified, how many did you all identify new students this year?
119.
119. Kudos to you and Ms. O'Neill. So we have 119 new students, and we currently have 14 homeroom teachers that are gifted endorsed. We have additional staff, like I'm gifted endorsed, and
Coaches.
the coaches, Ms. Porti, Carly.
Um,
So we have a few others that are gifted, but
ESOL teachers.
ESOL, but at the end of the day, we have 14 homeroom teachers that are currently with us that are gifted endorsed. So the approved state models for next year are cluster grouping and resource classes and advanced content. As far as elementary goes, it's gonna be cluster grouping and resource. And then we're gonna have to look at the flexibility that IB is going to give us with the cluster grouping and resource, or mainly with resource. And so we're looking at different ways. I won't make this decision without the team, and then putting some more information out there to let everyone know how we're going to be able to do it. And it may be a combination of both, but
Can you give an example of what these terms mean, like in just one word?
so resource class is pull out.
Okay,
They go out for, I think gifted gets up to 2 segments, which in elementary, 1 segment is 45 minutes. So 2 segments will be 90 minutes a day, right?
sure.
Not a day, a week.
It's 220 minutes a week for kindergarten, well, first grade through second, and then third. The minutes change. Been away from resource for a little bit, but it is a grouping of like-minded thinkers, as the research says. But the cluster grouping is where the teacher in the classroom is gifted and endorsed, and she just provides the enrichment with the lesson.
Right, and a segment is 45 minutes. That hasn't changed in a while. I think it goes up as you move into middle school.
It does.
Approved state models, of course, we just discussed those. And then we're in the planning phase, and we'll determine what is best for SRS moving forward in 26, 27. But we definitely need to start looking at it next year. Any thoughts, comments?
And the cluster grouping is in the classroom.
A gifted endorsed teacher. So I have a classroom with 30 kids. 8 of them are gifted. They're receiving their services all day through me as the gifted teacher, gifted endorsed teacher.
And then advanced content is another form of pullout.
Well, advanced content is what they do more so in middle schools,
Okay.
where they have separate courses. So they'll have,
Gifted accelerated math,
right,
gifted accelerated,
social studies or science.
and it doesn't just hinge on your milestone scores. It's milestones plus you have to be identified.
And then what do other schools in Atlanta Public Schools use at the elementary level?
So one of the schools in our cluster, well, I've spoken to 2 principals, actually 3. One does the old school, but they're not an IB school. They do and they're not in our cluster either. They do 1-day pullout.
To the resource
They
class?
do but they do it all day for 1 day a week. Another school in our cluster, they do cluster grouping. So all the teachers, or very close to all, have the gifted endorsement, so they receive their services in the classroom. And then we'll decide what we're doing, which this year we're doing collab. Next year we'll continue with collab and a combination maybe of resource to see how it can start working, as long as it works with IB. So we're still in the investigation phase of all of this to see how it will work for next year, but we know that it's coming, and we just wanted to let you all know before we advance on next year.
And they have shared with us at the gifted department too, how to use the APS graphs to monitor math scores, to see that quadrant down there that's not just achievement, but it's the growth. because we want to make sure that our gifted students are achieving and growing. Because as they described it, growth is the precursor to achievement. So if they're not growing, then the assumption is later on, their data will show they're not achieving.
So the resource model would be, there would be an additional teacher that students and gifted would go to for some period of time, meaning that the homeroom teacher would then have a smaller classroom of students.
For that period of time.
For that period of
Depending
time.
on the number of minutes that are the state requirement, and we're also waiting to see if the summer if that changes. But we are looking at, you still go to the specials and the
Mhm.
lunch and recess with your class.
And then cluster grouping would be, it is on the homeroom teacher to now offer an additional differentiation,
Right.
which theoretically they would be doing now
Anyway.
already on the different levels of, students in their classroom.
Is there any, I mean, depending on what you choose, obviously, but if you choose cluster grouping, you said there's 14 teachers. Is there going to be a push to increase that number?
Yeah, and even as we hired last year, and ever since I've been here, as we hired, one of the questions is, are you gifted indoors? And if not, are you willing to get gifted indoors? And so everyone that we asked that question to said yes. So, the time is coming that some of them have taken the course. I know we had about, how many do we have this year? 4?
I think there's 4.
So we're slowly but surely getting more teachers, but it's always better to have more gifted indoors teachers, but that's the next step, to continue to get indoors.
How many homerooms do we have total?
Oh, gosh, I think 40.
3 or 8, I can't remember now.
So right now, you would almost look at putting 300 students across those 14 rooms, which seems like it would create other issues just as a parent. I would see other issues with that.
Well, there,
With
and
the lack
also
of,
because you have a significant number in kindergarten, and there's really no gifted service in kindergarten.
there's a significant number of the homeroom teachers with
Yes.
certified gifted or kindergarten teachers.
So that would be another thing to think about,
Right,
is where.
that's all, when we get to, when we
Around.
sit down,
Could be a lot of things.
yeah, so when we sit down at the table, we're looking at numbers,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at how that will affect the class makeup, we're looking at what will benefit the students the most, we're looking at various things that, what's possible with the funding that we have, as well as what's best for the students, and then merging those two together and meeting in the middle somewhere. Okay. All right, Go Team budget, meeting schedule. I put hours on the next screen, so we met with, we're right here, step 3, Go Team budget allocation meeting. That happened here, principals, last week, we received our budgets. We'll show you the budget, like a very high level overview today. I'll continue working on the budget, and I believe I have until, I thought it was tomorrow. Diane, is it tomorrow or the 31st? To turn it into, yes.
So the 31st is when your request for signature and turnaround funds is due. And then the 14th is when your final budget, well, not final budget, your draft budget is due to your cluster superintendent. So you guys are at step 3 here. So you have to get this through the allocation meeting before the 31st, because you're going to have to talk about what you're requesting for your signature program. Then you're going to talk about that with your cluster superintendent. Then on step 5 is when you will, whenever your feedback meeting is, sometime between February 1st and February 14th is when you'll provide your draft budget to the Go Team for that full discussion and feedback. And the Go Team will have to take action on that draft, saying that, yep, we agree with this draft budget. And then after that, you will go to your cluster superintendent and the staffing conferences. And after your staffing conference, you will bring back the budget, which hopefully wouldn't have seen any changes, but don't count on that. And then and approve the final budget in March.
All right. So we're on step 3. I thought I had less time, so good, I have more time to work on the budget. Our meetings are fine, I just added them in because according to the previous slide, today is 1/23. Our next meeting will be February 13th, and then that last final approval meeting will be on March 13th. So our meetings align with the timeline that they've set forth. All right, so for this portion of the budget meeting, this is a meeting of the GO team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. We will follow the agenda as noticed to the public and stay on task. We invite and welcome contributions of every member and listen to each other. And we will respect all ideas and assume good intentions. So on our GO team development budget process, we started with our strategic plan. That's why it was very important to start with that without the budget. So I know we asked for the budget, but we had to start without the budget to really just narrow down what our focus is and let that drive more or less what our budget decisions will be. So we start with the data review, strategic plan review, budget parameters, strategic priorities, and then we are in the budget development process now. So during the first GO team, I'm providing an overview of the budget and position allocations, and showing, we also talked about the changes to the gifted service delivery model. Why? This meeting provides an opportunity for the principal and GO team to ensure alignment to the school's key strategic priorities, gain a deeper understanding of the budget and position allocations, discuss the proposed request for signature program funds, and provide input to drive the development of the draft budget. So your input is important in this meeting as I go back and work on the budget some more. And I'll just tell you, don't be deceived before we start moving in. You'll see that we have more money than last year, but it's actually, we have less money to spend because teacher salaries went up, things of that nature went up. So even though we're getting a little bit more money, you may look at it and say, oh, well, we're doing fine. No, we're gonna have to make a few adjustments and changes to the budget to make sure that we accommodate all the positions that we need. It's gonna be a lean year. So let me just be honest, it's going to be lean. We're gonna have to make some cuts. So we, the development of the process, we start with the school strategic priorities, which we did. Formulate strategies and implement and manage them at the school. Focus on the day-to-day operations. These are all my roles, or this is my role. Serve as the expert on the school, hire quality instructional and support personnel, and collaborate with the GO team on the use of school-level flexibility for position allocations and signature programs. And this is a new process for 2026, so you'll see that in a moment. The GO team's role is to focus on the big picture, positions and resources, not people. So anything that we're talking about, we're not talking about a particular person because we have people that even if we have to eliminate their role, they can fulfill another position. Ensure that the budget is aligned to the school's mission and vision, and that resources are allocated to support key strategic priorities, and collaborate with the principal on the use of school-level flexibility position allocations and signature programs. So we already, we looked at that. We ranked our priorities. This part we'll have to just kind of fill in later, but we know what our priorities are and we'll place them in on the chart. Does anyone want to say anything or have any input about the rationale behind this? Usually last time I wrote them and just filled it in because we pretty much talk about it all the time, and I can do that again so we don't have to go through this step. Unless somebody really wants to. I think so. All right. So the budget represents an investment plan for our school students, employees, and the community as a whole. The budget recommendations are tied directly to our school's strategic vision and direction. So our proposed budget for the general operations of the school are reflected at $13,339,226.00. That's slightly up, and you'll see why as we talk about it. This investment plan for FY '26 accommodates a student population that is predicted to be 792 students, which is a decrease of 54 students from school year '25. So that's where I say we are losing money in a sense, because at 54 students, and you'll see what the per student rate is, that's how much money that we're going down for next year. And I'll be honest, we talked about it, Ben asked about it before, how close are they? My first year here, they were way under. I think we were up, 80 students above what they said? Last year, I think we were close.
It came in a little under.
Yeah, just a little bit under. And then this year, we took a big hit. I can't remember, it was maybe 30 students to the tune of $181,000. So they come pretty close. Their numbers, they look at birth populations and moving trends and they have all kinds of formulas. I would be lying to you if I told you what they do. It's a room of people that sit down and that's their only job to work on that, so. For Sarah Smith, this year, what you're looking at, what we'll be looking at momentarily, are 3 different tabs on one sheet. The first one is this year's or next school year's money. This is the current year, and this is the change. And let's see what else. That's it.
Is it just as 3rd and 5th? Is that typical? Like kids trying to go somewhere else for 5th grade, like first or not?
Various things. It's even kindergarten.
So that one I see too, but it's a little, right, it's like, those are real, I was just curious if, that has something, I didn't see if this, was similar, like if we got the change, we don't, from the, like if we were looking at this last year or something like that, if it's just a trend that, or like you lose kids moving from the PC to the IC generally, or people trying to get into private school before the 6th grade middle school push or something like.
People try to get.
Just a general question, or if it's.
We can probably get some of our data strategists to look at that in more detail. And this is the first time they've given it to us like this. With that?
I said numbers are up and I opened my mouth. I was just curious though, if there was like some, really not even to do more research, just but from your experience, like, oh yeah, duh, like that's what happens, kind of
A lot of people try to, or at least like from my parent perspective, try to get their kids into the private schools in 4th grade, because in 5th grade, you have to take the SST. So they
this
try to do
is
it
the opposite. Kind
the year before.
Okay.
But if you're looking at our 4th grade for this year and the 5th grade for next year, that's a drop of 20 kids.
Mhm.
And so is that when they're leaving after 4th grade? I guess that's what Minnie does.
I don't know if that's specific to Sarah Smith, but I know that a lot of people do that just so they can avoid their kid having to take the SAT to get into the private schools. There aren't as many spots necessarily in the private schools at that year. They're more in the 5th going to 6th grade year, but
I know more of our 5th grade, some 4th grade teachers do, but more of our fifth grade teachers are filling out
right.
the recommendations. So I think it's more, even though that it's more in 5th grade, just so that they're in there by middle school. And there's not that transition after you've gone on to middle school and then you transition again, but.
Yeah,
There's
for
no-
example, I haven't received any for 4th grade this year, but 5th grade I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
It was, and I was, just to run, I was suggesting for the idea of, as we're thinking about decisions of where you'd want to have different teams or strengths, that could be a, something to think about, but seems like it's an anecdote here.
I got you.
Well, and all this data, you can also find it online. So there is data like year over year over year over year of what happens. And it is all online. So if you wanted to like look into that. I've looked into it a little bit, but I can show you this later.
And I feel like there isn't a rhyme or reason, because we have that one, like, we had a really small first grade last year, and now they're in second grade, but then, but there's no, I don't know why.
It just depends on the birth year.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any,
I think the trend that we could, like, okay, so I'm trying to understand. So the middle is right now,
The middle is this year,
and the
so,
left is next year,
so,
and the right is change.
yeah, so we're looking at the actuals now. This is Sarah Smith. The first one was an example. So if we look at, let's take a look at, this year we had 846 students. Next year, 792, for a difference of 54. Also, this year we're earning $13 million. Last year was $11 million for a difference of about 2 million, right?
can I ask the question, is this number of students, that's by the FTE count date?
Was that? That's what, yeah, we should have 792 by that first FTE date.
So it's not, but the 846, is that also the FTE number?
I believe that's our current enrollment,
That's current,
Yep.
so all the students that we,
as of when they pull this data.
okay.
So one of the big differences that you will notice is our per pupils expenditure is going up from 13,000 to 16,842. So it's a difference of $3,521.
You're getting more.
More money, we're getting more money per student. But then,
Students, you get even more.
right, and special ed and ESOL, but
Teacher salaries.
the teacher salaries have gone up as well. So even if, let's look at this number. And we talk about the weights, they've changed this formula as well. So in prior years, I think the lower grades got weights, but like, look at here, 4th and 5th did not get any additional weight. So all that is they multiply and give you, 0.6 more or 0.25 more based on the grade that the students are in. Kindergarten are receiving the most for the grade weights, but this year they changed the formula and included all the grades and actually increased. Kindergarten is the same, but all the other grades increased, if you notice here.
Does pre-K, its own entity?
Pre-K doesn't factor in the same way. They're funded from somewhere else. They're housed in our building, but they're not funded by us, so that doesn't go into our budget.
Mr. Hudson, is the superintendent interested in giving weight to DLI?
He's interested in looking at where there's a benefit and seeing if we're getting results for what we're doing. So he's looking at every program and saying, for example, if we're looking at DLI, is there a benefit in DLI that's benefiting those students that are in the program that it's meant to benefit? He's looking at everything. And he's really focused on math, English, social studies, and science. He made that abundantly clear at our last meeting.
But
So-
those students are only in like 9th grade right now, right? The first class?
Yeah, but that's enough data to start looking because we started in kindergarten, so you can start to see some trends in that data.
So when you look at how many homeroom teachers per grade, do you use these projections?
I use a combination of these projections and what we actually have. So I look at fourth, like for example, I think my second year here, 3rd grade was really big. And so I looked at that for 4th grade to say, well, when we go to 4th grade, we need to add another teacher, or 2nd grade was big and we had to look at adding another teacher to 3rd just to keep the numbers about the same.
Like there's 7 homerooms in 3rd grade right now, but there's only 4 homerooms in 4th grade. So if you left it,
Where's the say 4?
I just know. I mean, there's
Six.
6
Yeah.
6 homerooms in 4th grade and 7 homerooms in 3rd grade. And so but this is projecting a lot fewer students in the 4th grade class.
So that's all of the things that I use
Yeah.
to make, and if you look right here, this gives you the projection for the changes in the grade levels as well.
So does the new one for next year reflect the gifted students that have been identified yet? Are they not reflected until the next year?
That's a good question.
It doesn't look like it is because we have 101 here
Which there were 300.
and we have 103 here. So it's not reflected yet.
And you can't go and request an adjustment, since you know those students are identified?
So when we'll have what's called FTE, and we'll also have the 10-day head count. And on the 10-day head count, even, let's say, for example, we're supposed to have 792 students. How many other students we have on that 10-day head count, that's what we're going to be funded on. So if it's 800 instead of 792, then we're going to get 8 times
Yeah.
16,000 for those students. If it's under, that's money that they take away from us. So that's how the budget works. So when you hear us for that push at the beginning of the year, get the students in, because frankly, and the teachers will tell you what happens. Our students show up after September 1st. And
Coming from different regions.
coming from different places, and then we don't get the money for them.
So something that this just made me think of, obviously, student count, we want the student count to go up. We want to get students, we want to keep them here. And what I'm seeing is like Ben pointed out, is a change when, especially when we go from the PC to the IC. So just thinking that we know that they're projecting us to lose 41 students, maybe there could be more of an emphasis put in second grade to be like, we're so excited for you to come to the IC. Wouldn't it be great? Aren't you excited to stay and become a superstar at the IC so that that second grade dip doesn't happen? That would be like one way to kind of be proactive in trying to keep the students that we already have.
And it also may be going from second, this is how many students we have now, moving into third. So it may be about the same number. I'll have to look at that specifically because I've been asked that question before. But if we look at second grade and we see that we have 100 students, and then this year we have 140, that could be that difference too.
But like, in just like looking over trends over time, the
Uh-huh.
IC count keeps going down and the PC count keeps kind of staying the same. So I think there's an opportunity there to build up the intermediate campus as being a focal point of the primary campus.
So
Can
when
I
we,
ask a question on that?
yes,
I didn't see the 2 campus,
it's
This is
there
not
somewhere else.
okay.
I,
I've seen,
I don't see it here.
I see a small school supplement, but I don't see the 2 campus thing.
It's on another page because I saw it as I was looking at it earlier
Okay.
today. And we're not gonna go through all these tabs because it won't make sense right now until I start filling in some spaces and then we come back the next time. But here's a summary of the tabs overview. When we come back and look at the actuals, we'll look at what's earned, what's funded, what's staffed, and the difference. And the reason we're not looking at it today, frankly, is because I haven't put them in. And I want, like, as we go through, I want to be able to explain why the changes as we go through each change.
And that would be the next
Would we,
meeting.
so
That'll
would
be
we,
in the next meeting.
and can we get that in advance of the next meeting so that we can be prepared to ask questions?
Yeah. So the non-staffing tab in overview, similar to the staffing tab. And that's just, this is just an example for the non-staffing tab as well. The money that's earned, they give a recommendation on $50 per student that should go towards supplies for the school. I learned that this year. That's how you fund that. District funded field trips that are included. But this is another tab that it'll fill out more and it'll make more sense once we have actuals in for Sarah Smith. This is a really big deal because when you look at that entire budget, IB was not included in that budget at all. And we're doing what's called, the district is piloting a zero-based budgeting process for signature and turnaround program funds this year. We don't receive turnaround funds, just signature. And this zero-based budgeting is a budgeting process that allocates funding based on program efficiency and necessity rather than budget history. As opposed to traditional budgeting, no item is automatically included in the next budget. As such, the initial allocation for these programs at all schools will be zero. So we develop these requests for personnel and non-personnel. They need to support the signature and turnaround programs at their school and principals will share and discuss their proposals and rationale for the proposals with their school's GO team for feedback. After discussing this with their GO team, that's the 31st. We will submit the request to review by the 31st, and funding for these programs will be provided the week of February 3rd. So based on what I asked for and justified, they'll look at it, say whether it's justified or not, return a certain amount of funds to us, but it's not promised. And so this is what I've asked for. It's not really a lot, but these are all the things that I think are necessary for us to operate next year. So I've asked for a coach, signature program coach, which is the IB coach, which is Carla. I've also asked for our world language teacher that is going to come out of the budget at the lower campus to be able to continue giving language from kindergarten on through second grade. And I haven't finalized this because I'm thinking I might ask for both foreign language teachers, since that's for IB and it's necessary for us to have it. Then our dues and our fees are $9,260. And then the materials that we use for IB, the hands-on, the inquiry-based lessons, Toddle, which is the platform where they store IB units and things of that nature, and they use it to plan at the lower grades right now, and exhibition, that's $12,150. So it's fallen somewhere right around 300,000 with the 281,000 requested for staff and the $21,410 requested for materials and supplies.
Last year, we had a strong discussion about reading coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Are they included?
So reading coaches, those are gonna be some of the things that I have to work on within the budget. And remember, last year, we did have a strong discussion about that, and we actually eliminated a reading coach to add a fifth grade teacher.
How's that working out?
I haven't started on that, but we're looking at class sizes aren't gonna be bigger next year. That's just a fact of the matter.
They are or are not?
Right. Principal Hudson, if I can
Yeah.
interrupt. If you could go back a few slides, because I want to make sure that I'm understanding. Are these actually the non-staffing tab and all that, was that taken from your allocation from finance?
The non-staffing, yes.
Okay, where's the staffing tabs? Do you
The
have
staff-
those?
We'll share that at the next meeting.
No, I need you to share that today, please, because that's where your allocation's coming from.
Because it's hard for us to comment on what you're requesting if we agree with that, if we don't know
So-
what's included probably.
Yeah, so that's what we're asking principals to do, is to show this summary tab, the summary tab of what you have, so that your team can give input on some of the differences that are showing up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So with the caveat, I have not worked on these slides yet. Or not worked on the allocations yet.
I mean, and that's fine, because this is the allocation, right? This is what you've been, this is the money you've been given. You haven't decided how to spend it yet. So
Correct.
you're not presenting, just so that we level set for everybody. This is what the district is allocating to Sarah Smith. Nothing has been decided. Nothing has been determined. You are going to look at those, Principal Hudson and his leadership team are going to look at those strategic plan priorities to guide how you want to spend this money. But it is a good level setting for you all to know how the district has funded y'all.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So starting off with paraprofessional special ed, and when you see must match earned here on the side, that means I have no flexibility with these. So we've earned 12. Right now we have 13, so we're gonna have to lose one.
Positions.
One position.
Okay.
Paraprofessional kindergarten, we have 6. Is this the earned column? Oh, it is. So paraprofessional kindergarten. We earned 6 and we actually have 6, so that's fine. Regular paraprofessionals, 3. And we have 3 here, so then that's fine. So we didn't earn any here from the district, so we're that's like funded by us. Principal, of course, we are 1 and we have 1.
So, then, what are these columns again? that
So this is what's funded by the district
This year or for next year?
next year. So I'm trying to, but it's,
Would you like some assistance, Principal Hudson?
no, I can't
okay.
see.
Okay, in terms of what the different columns are.
Yeah, I couldn't see them. Hold on one second.
Okay,
Going back to them. But now it's not shared.
Funded, staff.
So let's look at funded staff difference, right?
Funded is for next year, staffed is for.
What we currently have and the
Got it.
difference, okay?
And-
So let me go back to sharing the screen. Go ahead, Mr. Kobe.
and on those funded, the thing with the funded is to realize that, that base allocation that you're getting, certain assumptions had to be made to get to that base. So the base allocation that you have is what is, that base allocation, those assumptions that were made between the base allocation and all the weights will fund these positions. There are certain positions that are earned. So for example,
Special ed.
the paraprofessionals for special ed, those are earned. You do not have flexibility in earned positions, right? Because especially when it comes to special ed, we have federal law requirements to provide services. However, Principal Hudson, if you can scroll up on that sheet, I think the teachers are at the very top, correct? If you scroll up to the top of that spreadsheet.
No, I'm actually on, this is a slide.
Oh, that's a slide. Oh, okay. There you go. There's your slide. Go back to slide. There you go. So you'll see on this slide, for example, that
Wait, there.
There you go. Okay. So you'll see, like, as you go down under teacher of ESOL, you earned 4.5 English ESOL teachers. Can't mess with that. But you'll notice under regular teachers, it doesn't say you earned any, but there are positions funded. Under funded, that's flexible for the principal and the leadership team. So as the principal and the leadership team are looking at the needs in your building, they can move items, they can move positions around as they feel will best align and support your strategic priorities. That's funded. Staffed is what is currently in the building. Staffed is what is there right now today teaching your kids or supporting the school. And then the difference is just very obviously, if if you look down at like, teacher of gifted, you've been funded 3.5 gifted teachers, you have staffed 3 gifted teachers. So you have a difference of 0.5. Does that help everybody? Make sense?
Diane, can you comment on the class sizes that they are basing the number of teachers that are funded on?
Not off of the top of my head. I can go and try to find that. But I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't, I know it's not as high as the state. So,
I
Okay.
have it
Okay.
kindergarten 23, first through third 24, and 4 through 5 30.
Holy cow.
For DLI and traditional?
For everyone. For everyone.
And how is that possible when there aren't that many kids in the programs?
And our classroom won't fit 30 kids in
No.
them, not at the IC.
So this is the number that we were given in the last meeting. But those are the numbers. It's not that we're going to go to those numbers.
That's what they allotted.
Right. So when you look at the fact that 5th grade, we were actually allotted 5 teachers for next year, and we have 7. So that's why there's a difference of 2.
Well, really, we have 6.
Well, right,
Right.
but this was funded on 7. Same thing here, 5, 6, with a difference of 1. This 6.5, I think this is something in combination with ESOL for 3rd grade. One of the teachers are ESOL to cover that, and that's why that 0.5 is a difference. And so that's what you see all the way down. We're funded for one, I don't know why. It says
Yeah,
1
I'm gonna
point.
say for these .2s, like how do you
We-
assign .2 effort?
We pay for it.
Okay.
That's part of the funding. So like this 1.8 that we're funded for, but we're staffed for 2, that just comes out of our budget. Now, there are other people, none under this section here, but you'll see that there are other people that might be a 0.5, and we do share them with another school. So we pay for half of the budget and the school pays for the other school pays for the other half.
And it looks like you have 1.8 world language teachers funded. But why doesn't it show it any world language teachers staffed?
Because that might be coming out of a different budget this year.
And I guess then I would also ask, why are we asking for that under our
Yeah.
signature programming? Because you're
that's where
saying
it's
that is where it would have to come out of. And-
So as of right now, and that's why I didn't want to even get into this today.
But it's important.
1.8 world language teachers right now that we're funded for is showing that we're not staffed any because I believe that's coming out of the IB budget. But that's why I said I'll ask for 1, but I'm considering asking for 2 coming out of the IB budget, but then also knowing the fact that they could say yes and they may not say no. So I want to kind of have more of a sure budget than anything else moving forward before I'm just like hoping and waiting to see, okay, will they fund the rest of this? But that's what, that's what we're all doing this year as far as signature program and turnaround funds.
I see there's 3 gifted staff.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
So
somebody I don't know about?
I don't know why. Some of these things. Now, some of the, like, for example, the 3, that may have been used in another part where you see that we have funded 2 teachers, but we actually have 3. That's what we use to lower the class size as well.
So just to clarify, if I'm understanding this correctly, you're gonna go through this and make it a lot easier to read and understand with like what you're planning on doing. This is just
Right.
what's being given to us
That's-
today.
That's what's given to us.
Fiddle with it and make it work for you. Okay.
So looking at class sizes,
Yeah.
looking at the number of students that are moving up,
Mhm.
looking at what positions we may have to eliminate,
Yeah.
what positions we may have to add. All of that is part of this process today. Or
Don't
part
you
of the
think
process.
an increase in, because I know that the gifted money can go in the general budget, can the
Mhm.
increase in our population help the budget at all? Or does that not show up until later on in the year after that FTE count in the fall?
That's a good question. I believe that's when it shows up. at FTE in the fall.
Is it like EIP, you get it for the next year?
Right, well, no,
No,
EIP we get for the next year, but we'll also be funded based on the students on FTE count too.
Like the one in February?
No,
Oh.
that's for this year.
so the funded, I just want to clarify for now, because
So,
that is for 25, 26.
right, well, right,
Okay. And then the staff's what we have now, so
Right.
any differences,
these are the differences.
okay.
That you're gonna have to figure out.
Hmm?
That's kind of like what you're gonna be looking at. the
Right.
differences and Fiddling with what,
Right.
how it fits.
And moving some things around
Yeah.
and seeing what fits with the amount of money that we have.
So this is APS, like not knowing us, just knowing our numbers and
Mhm.
throwing stuff out.
Yeah, basically, and the good thing about it is they give us autonomy in most places. There's some that we don't have autonomy in, but there are other positions that we have autonomy to do what's best for the school and do what we feel we need based on our strategic priorities.
Okay. Okay, I get it.
Let's see, so an example of something that we can't touch, all of these down here in yellow. So teachers ESOL, whatever we're funded, that's what we have to staff for. Teachers interrelated, which are special ed teachers, same thing. Lead teachers, same thing. We have to comply with what they funded us with here.
Is that a place where you can add, not take away, or that's just it?
Usually no, but I've heard of some cases where people have justified the need and they've been able to. Like especially, I had a principal that earned a 0.5 cell, 1.5 cell, and he said, I need 2 cells. I have 2 buildings, and so they were able to do that. So we can justify some things as well, but mostly this is very, this is strict. This is strict, these are more flexible, but these are strict. And what's the last one, Karen? Okay, autism room, so that's the last 2. This, oh gosh. All right, so we don't need to go through each one of these. Wait, did we go backwards?
We haven't done that.
Okay, so teachers were first.
We did that.
Paraprofessionals, we did this one.
We haven't really done
We just go down to the administration.
So admin is just, and I had a question about this because this is required, so I think this is an error. So we have 1 principal, 2 APs, and a program admin, which is Ms. Herron. I'm supposed to have a school secretary, but I don't. So that's that -1. And my bookkeeper is actually functioning as the secretary and the bookkeeper. But I truly should have one of each according to this. Clerks, we were funded for 2, but we have 3. And technically right now we're back down to 2, so we're going to figure this out for next year. Look at some possibilities on how to do that. And then we're funded for 2 counselors, but we have 1, and the other one is used as the other funding for that is used towards an SEL teacher at the other campus. So those are some of the changes that we kind of made there. We have instructional coach for math, instructional coach for readers or leaders.
But we would like 1 more, was that the discussion we had last year? You would like 1 for
Well,
each campus?
That was the big discussion about how to handle that and keep the class sizes small. And so like when we look at, our priorities, and the #1 priority is develop a literate community in which students read and write with clarity and fluency across the curriculum. So we have to look at things that will improve that, hopefully. We have 1 RN, 1 LPN. Signature coach program, once again, you see it's not funded because that comes out of IB, so that's 0. But right now it's staffed on our end with a difference of 1. And this is where you see the world language teachers. So although earlier it said world languages teachers, we had 0, they're funded right here. There are two, or this is where we had them, but they're not funded here because of, IB. So this is all the stuff that we have to work through to make sure that it balances out. Social workers, specialists for SST. What else is here? This person, this person is funded through the district. This is our learning technology specialist, and so she works in multiple buildings, so it comes, I don't think that comes directly out of our budget. This is more at the district level, but that's the one person here. And school psychologist, we have, no, what is, oh my gosh. Maggie, Buchanan. So quiet. So Maggie, we have one psychologist. These are two school resource officers for next year. And then we have two site managers, huh?
They'll physically be on site.
So as they hire, which is the challenge right now, eventually they will be. So what the plan is, what the superintendent shared, is they're going to start with, let's say we have 40 schools and 4 officers, they'll cover 10 schools. But as we hire more, they're gonna keep hiring until we're down to the ratio where we're 1-to-1. So they'll be doing multiple schools until we get them down to the point. And so they're in the process of hiring now. I think they're at about 15. Last that I heard. Oh, and then, huh?
They need 15?
No, they have
They-
15.
oh.
They need about 35 more. And then as you see, special revenue for information only, this is your pre-K program, the 2 paras and the 2 teachers. That's cafeteria staff. And then our non-staffing, we kind of started looking at that. Our reserves, I'm in the habit of not touching this in the event that next year we don't hit our targets. And if we don't hit our targets, rather than having to lose a teacher, we pull from the reserves. And then this is the recommendation for subs. And then we have to do FICA for the subs. Everyone else, we play into the pension program.
Can you explain what the academic stipends are?
So were they there? Which page?
The last one. The last one. It's like green.
Cafeteria? It's like 19,000.
So all of our coaches, not
No,
our
it
coaches.
wasn't that page.
I'm going to one
Oh,
side.
okay. Yeah, that one.
This one. So our grade level chairs, they all receive extra funds for volunteering to do that.
What does that entail?
DLI, does that include the DLI?
That's K 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the leaders on each team. Like back
Do they
in,
do like monthly meetings,
They-
weekly meetings? How does that work?
well, not
You
monthly, as needed. They do extra duties when I have to send out stuff for the teachers. They're usually the ones that gather the information, take feedback, bring feedback back. And then in time, we'll be meeting more regularly, but it's been a crazy year.
Okay.
But normally we have a separate meeting for the, grade level chairs. And so that's part of their
Oh,
extra
okay.
duties.
The leadership.
They're part of the leadership team.
Okay.
So our broader leadership team, that's what they're part of.
Okay.
Like even when I send out information over the weekend, like, hey, we're considering doing this. What do you think, team? They'll look at it and then kick it back to me and say, yeah, the team says fine. Teacher subs, this is just for when we have substitutes.
We did that one.
Yeah, I just missed, academic stipends. And then we did this already. So then you see here where the IB money is coming from.
So, can we go back to that? So this is what you're asking for above and beyond what they've given you, what they've allocated. So there was, more role, there were more roles that were not included than we've selected to request. But is this all we're allowed to request, or is it?
So like, just starting to work through this. I did put one, but also I don't want to be greedy. You know, it's like one of those things. Do you ask for too much and then see what they give? And I don't want to be at the point where I'm relying on this budget. And then they say, well, we can't give you that much money. And now I'm scrambling to figure out how to get 2 world language teachers. So I'm just looking right now. We'll go in, I'll tweak everything. I may ask for the 2 world language teachers because they do support IB. Definitely Carla supports IB. And then we do need all of the things below on the non-personnel. So those are the things that we'll ask for and we'll see what we get.
And then our priority rankings that we just did, where we said reading is our number 1 priority, math, I'm drilling it down, it was more than that, but math is our number 2 priority. Will those also go into?
Into consideration?
Yeah.
But definitely. That's why, so they asked us not to do the budget part before we have this. So that we're not looking at the money like, oh, we got all this money, what are we gonna do? It's like, no, this drives that first, so we have to talk about the priorities first to drive everything else.
Well, I know you said you expect classrooms to be larger next year, but I think if our priorities are math and reading, I struggle with being prepared for even larger classrooms than we have now, because I think that would be hard to hit our math and reading goals with larger classrooms.
So there's a couple of things with that, and we can talk about it offline. But when you really look at all the research, although a lot of parents feel like, oh, the smaller class size is better, the most important thing is a teacher, a strong teacher. And that's what's gonna really help grow students. It's not as much as the size of the class, but like the strength of the teacher in each class. So we'll do a delicate balancing act because we don't want any classes that are too big either. But we're gonna look at all of that in conjunction to make the best decision. All right?
Sorry, I have another question. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
So you were shown the allocation budget.
Mm-hmm.
This is not included in that.
No,
This
this
is
is
like
above
more.
and beyond.
But like, the answer's no until you ask. Ask for more.
Yeah,
Ask for it all. Like, see what you say.
I got you.
Say.
And
Like, let's-
if it was up to,
Yeah. Let's ask.
Like, I feel like, I mean, be a little greedy. Let's get some money.
I hear you. And if it were a different situation and a different time, I would definitely do that. But we also have to consider that the district is in a budget crunch. And it's not, you know, we're making decisions that are best for the school, but also just considering that we know that we're in a budget crunch and we're gonna have to make cuts somewhere.
Yeah, but that's their job too.
Retaliation?
No, there are some when you ask for more.
Oh, yeah.
like, Yeah.
We'll
I'll
see.
give you some.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I don't think anyone's operated that way, but just being mindful and having a delicate balance between understanding the district is in a budget crunch and understanding what we need and asking for what we really need. And that's what we were told to do, ask for what you really need, not just what you want. So this isn't a dream list. Yeah, it's not a wish list or the biggest dreams.
Boxes there.
But I do think, and that's why I said perhaps go ahead and change that world language teacher to 2, because that's not
To campus.
right. And so maybe that's the next thing that I'll change on here.
Was the reading coach still funded through Readers for Leaders?
It was,
So that's a help.
But we
it
need one
is
more.
one coach.
But we need one more though.
Yeah, let's go back and make sure I'm saying, hold
That's
on.
what you had.
I want to make sure that that was funded.
It
though.
was. It said
It-
readers only.
One
That
coach.
was shocked, yeah.
But not the math.
Right.
But if that's a priority, that's a good one.
To ask for,
But we got it.
oh, we have been funded, but in the not wish list, but in the signature. To add one more.
Yeah. Well, no, we can't add a coach from there. That's different.
You will add it from this.
From my regular budget.
Okay.
So my rationale for signature IB specialist is to support teachers in the implementation of the program of inquiry, unit plans, exhibition, and the overall primary years program. And, you know, and just to address something that I saw someone say that they didn't see like where IB falls into the school, but it's not just, I think they said the International Travelers Week. It goes very far beyond that because the program of inquiry, the unit plans that the teachers work on and implement in the classrooms, all of that is IB. So that's the reason for the signature IB specialist. That's like where Carla leads, and as we get more, and that's why even a substitute budget matters, because there's going to be times that I need to, for example, pull half the grade for a day, or pull the whole grade out for half the day, and then do another grade level for another half to work on those unit plans. So everything works together to keep developing the program. Signature world language teacher, provide all students with a second language starting in kindergarten and fulfill the language requirements of IB. Dues and fees, pay the required fees, so our school will continue to offer the IB program to our students. Signature programming, supplies, materials, provide students with IB materials for inquiry-based lessons. So that's where the money that we're asking for will go.
Should the dues and fees include the trainings that we have to have every certain number of years? Where does that money come?
It's, you know what, that's not in there. And there was, I may have to add that in. So thank you. I thought about adding that in and I just didn't. But that's important as well. So the trainings need to go in there. So I'll add that.
So then back to my poor little reader, I'm just asking, would you add a line for another reading coach? To support our number one?
So what I'm considering, and what we were able to do this year, with some of our funds was we did add an additional part-time reading coach that pulls our struggling readers. And so I'm going to look at that and see how effective that's been. And if that was effective, then perhaps we get another one or get a full-time teacher.
Is that Ms. Harrison?
No.
Oh, okay,
So besides just having, we have another teacher that does that, Ms. White,
okay.
and she actually pulls kids. Okay. And so I know my emphasis is to look at, you know, this in order, and the most important thing to us, which I think is the most important thing for life, is to be able to read. So, all right, so Go Team feedback meetings before February 14th. We have our next one set. And then cluster superintendent review on February 17th to the 21st, HR staffing conferences. This is when I'll go and meet with them, take the finished plan or the draft plan, sit down with them. If they agree with everything, bring it back to you all. Or sometimes they may tell us we have to make changes. Last year they did tell me to make a few changes. We made those changes and then I brought it back to the team. And that's the meeting that we will vote on in, I'm sorry. The staffing conference, this is where they'll do that, on March 14th, and then I'll bring it back to you all and we will vote on it. Okay?
And everyone needs to get trained.
There will be budget training on Elias. It's not there as of today.
Yeah, but before we can approve the budget, everybody needs to be trained.
Mhm.
Keep an eye out for that.
But it's not there.
Yeah, I apologize, y'all. It's not there. There were so many changes this year that we've been, and this is always my disclaimer. Finance owns the budget process. We just try to support everybody as best we can. But there have been so many changes because the timeline's so tight. We've been focusing on supporting these meetings, and there will be budget training. We just have to get into a groove.
We're not finished yet though. That was just the
But
budget portion.
there's-
Just a little bit, we'll go through it quickly. So, this is our CCRPI results. This is ELA achievement. So you know, when we look at this, we always look at, let's move this over here now. Beginning, developing, proficient, distinguished. The way that the state looks at this is this red, we earn 0 points for that. That's beginning. Developing, the yellow, we earn 0.5 points. The light green is proficient, we earn a whole point. And distinguished, the dark green, we earn 1.5 points. So that's how our CCRPI score is developed for ELA math science. And this is only looking at 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. 5th grade for science only. So this is where we are. This is where we were at the end of last year. And these are all in your emails in case you have any questions. I said pretty much all of this directly to you. Math is at the top. This is 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but I do want us to notice how as they go up in the years, 5th grade especially, every grade has been doing a great job of, you know, they start to reduce that, the beginning levels. That's in our plan, our strategic plan to reduce the beginning levels by 10% and increase in these other areas. So
I'm sorry, was this the end of last year or is this winter data?
end of last year, this is CCRPI.
Oh, this is not winter data.
This is based
Got it,
on,
okay. This is last year's data at the end of last year.
based on the milestones.
Got it,
Mhm.
okay.
Same for math and science. So this is overall for math. And then this is science. So we don't like, of course we don't, this is why we'll make some of the changes that you see us making. At the end of the year, and as we look at plans with my team and see, okay, what can we do to improve? These are some of the things, and then we also met with the district. And the district asked, like, what support do you need? And so we look directly at this information, this data, and this is what we're using to say, okay, we need support in this area. We need people to come out and help, some people to come and do walks. Let's look at spiraling the science curriculum and changing it so that they'll get some reviewing and make sure we cover all the topics by the end of the year and things of that nature. This is our CCRPI closing the gaps. So this looks at the different cohorts of students. As you can see on the side here, if the number is red, then that means that usually it went down a little bit. If it's gray, then that means it stayed about the same. If it's green, and right now we're looking at, this is last school year, 24, and then 24, this is the end of 23. Third through fifth. Same thing, and we're looking at different groups of students. So all students overall went down a little bit from 80.92 to 78.57. And then we start to look at the specifics of English language arts. So our Asian students stayed about the same. And then this line, I believe, is the district line. Black students grew. Our work, we do need to work with our Hispanic students in science and and ELA, and then we'll look at, I think we're not looking at math because math was new, so that wasn't used as a growth target for this year. Multiracial, they said our goal was set very high. I have some other data, and it was set at 99, I believe. So we have a lot of work to get back to that 99.
And this is proficient, is that correct?
This is a combination of what we looked at with the red, the yellow, the green, where we talk about 0 for red, 0.5 for yellow, 1 for green, and then 1 for blue or the dark green.
100 is percent. Like on there, on this chart, it says 100. Is that percent or average?
I think it's the percentile, like when you look at the
Okay.
growth. Economically disadvantaged. We had some growth in that.
Okay, sorry, this is growth? Or this is
No, we had some
achievement?
growth looking from the prior year
Okay,
to this year, looking at the achievement from that year to the next year.
But what is this showing us?
This is milestones,
but this,
Okay.
who got
end
what?
of year.
I know, they all took it, but is it that these are the people that got proficient, or are these the scores that they achieved?
This is going back to, hold on. This is going back to this. Remember, we talked about the amount of points that we earned, where you get the 0 for 14.7 or for the red, the 0.5 for yellow, the 1 point for green, and then 1.5 for dark green. When you combine all of that, that's what those scores are. So then we're looking to see how students grew when you're looking at the average of those scores from year to year by the groups.
The goal is 100.
The goal is to just grow. The goal is to always be above what you were the year before. And usually it's set at 3%, I believe. So we have economically disadvantaged, which grew, English learners grew. Students with disabilities grew, but they didn't grow as far as we needed to. And I know that this is another area for our school that we really need to look at as far as CCRPI, is our students with disabilities. This is gonna be a very big deal and a focal point for us because of the fact that the state is looking at that too. And it's an issue like across the board, but we need to really work on that.
So they break down English learners and separate that from Hispanics?
Right, because so, for example, your English learners are the ones that took the WIDA access and they go into ESOL. So those are English learners. Our Hispanic students could be former ESOL students or not even ESOL at all. They're just Hispanic and they don't speak another language, or they don't speak Spanish, or they could speak Spanish, but they never scored to the point where they entered into the ESOL program.
Can I ask a question about the ESOL program? Are there students in dual language that are also ESOL?
They are.
Okay.
And that's what it was made for.
Okay.
Mhm. So same thing with, I'm sorry, geez, science. Science is another big deal for us, and that's why we asked for district support and told them what we need. Black students grew on science. Hispanic students, we have work to do here. That's why you see the red. White students as well with science from last year, from the previous year to last year. Economically disadvantaged though, a nice little jump. And then there's not enough students with English learners to be compared.
Because that's only 5th grade.
There's only 5th grade, and then like from year to year, when you look at, for example, if you look at 23, there were enough students, but then there weren't enough for 24.
Because a lot of them.
Either exited the program or graduated out. Now, this is math. And this is our current winter map. So this is looking at our achievement for map. And, you know, it shows you here, the legend shows you 1st to 20th%. It's red, 21st to 40th is orange, 41st to 60th is yellow, 61st to 80th is green, and 27th, excuse me, let me step on my light to start. I want to make sure it's not
Yeah.
emergency.
I find these hard, not hard to look at, but harder, better to look at if you have fall to winter and then war 2023 winter to 2024 winter. I don't know.
Did you guys see what I sent to the group in the email? Like I sent a picture of a way of viewing it where you can see like the growth.
What you're talking about, you see
You see the
fall,
growth.
winter.
Yeah, you see fall, you see winter, and you see growth all at the same time. That helps me view the whole picture. This is hard, but it's good to see where we are right now, like a snapshot.
So what were you saying? You needed,
Just like the way, like, it's hard for me to look at one and then go to a new page and then look at the other one and then go to a new page and look at how they like, there's a way to view it that has the growth broken down in terms of, like what I look at when I look at my kids' math scores is not their achievement, I look at their growth, and whether it says like low, medium growth, medium, high growth, and there's a way to look at it that shows the growth, and it shows like fall and the winter, all in one section.
okay,
And if there's a way, I wrote it down somewhere, what it was called, but if there's a way to get that, it'd be like a.
write that for
one-page
me.
full picture.
Right, whatever it is, send it to me. I tried to find the one that you said, but I could not find it. And I had some people who helping me with it. I'll speak to the principal. I said, I called her, but we weren't able to get it. That one is a little bit better, but this is just showing our overall, achievement by grade. And so if you're looking for growth, this is our growth for fall to winter this year.
The test that we just took before.
And so this is an area that we do want to work on because part of it is our achievement is higher, so sometimes the growth is not where it needs to be, but there's no excuse. We need to grow as well.
And that's really not true at some schools. They will still have high achievement and high growth.
Right.
So like this is saying that 64% of our first graders had low growth from fall to winter, which is usually a huge year of growth.
Hang on, isn't this
Right?
saying, isn't this the yes or no?
This is just a yes or
Yeah,
no.
so this isn't saying that they had no, this is like, that's why I'm asking for like the one that shows low growth, low, medium growth, medium, high growth, high growth. Because then you can see where, this is the yes or no, because like you have your growth that your goal that you're going for. And let's say your goal is 8 and you get a 7, you're gonna be a red.
Right,
But if your goal is 8 and you get a 9, you're gonna be a green.
right.
So it's like, if you're an 8 and you get a 7, I would like to see you as like a yellow rather than a red, because that helps me see that there is growth, that is taking place, and then we can say we hit that group hard.
So would
Not
you,
increased growth.
It's just, it
You
has.
either
this
good
is a
or you
yes or
didn't.
no. Did you
Right,
meet your
but-
goal or not?
This is not,
This is based on the.
No, it's did you meet your goal? Yes.
You hit
I'm
your
So
sorry.
like, they all, hopefully,
Yeah,
they all,
growth.
some of them, but some of them just might have had low growth. And some of them might have had low, medium growth. And they're all lumped together as a no, which is, I don't think they're no's.
And then low growth could be, I only achieved 2 points more versus achieving 20 points.
So,
Yeah.
close, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're, but it's based on individual students. So when you take the test the first time, you get your risk score, right?
Yes.
And let's say, for example, you hit 112, your goal is 120.
Yes,
If you hit 119,
yes.
you've grown,
You're a red.
but you're
You're
red
red.
because you didn't. But with the teachers, so that you all know, we use another measure that's a median growth index that looks at how did your students grow as a whole. So it's not just a yes or a no, but it's looking at the overall, how do the students grow within your class?
I think
And
that's what it's called on here. It's called the growth, median, and distribution.
let me see it.
No, we do the percentile.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a helpful report for me personally, so I don't, we don't have to keep doing this one.
What is the
I let my
political
4-year-old
reason
use it.
driving?
But do you see how it says
When
growth,
it's
median,
very
and
confusing,
distribution?
like on the,
For
high
kindergarten, it says,
politics
like,
level.
this is the growth
Well, I
distribution.
can tell you
And then it's
that
got fall, and then it's got
for
winter,
reading,
for K,
not
all
for
on,
math, but
all on
for
one.
reading,
That's math. Okay.
the state
Yeah.
did
Where'd you see
not
that?
That's what
suggest
Ian
or
said.
recommend the math.
Oh,
as
sorry,
universal
Cindy.
curriculum. So we may not,
Well-
unless APS opts
And
keep it. We may not use the math next year for reading. There may be a difference. One of them is STAR. There's a bunch. I haven't written down, but I,
Let's just change
there
the
are
curriculum and
differences.
change the text.
the math creates
But for math,
anxiety.
I don't know that that's the same. They're, and we're probably contracted with NWEA. So, I mean, there's all that plays into it, like how long we contracted to use it. So.
Okay, team.
All right, so
Homework.
that was really the last thing. I wanted to,
We do need to hear from one of our committee, which hopefully will be real quick, but we do need to hear from the uniform committee.
Is that Are we ready to transition to committee report?
I'm done. I thought you were tabling it for this.
Well, so I'd like, considering all that we're looking at here in terms of budgeting and getting our training done for that and being, and the budget crunches and everything, we've discussed. I'd like to make a motion to defer the work of the optional uniform committee to the 2026 academic year, if it's still a possibility from APS at that time.
Is there a motion to accept our chair of the uniform committee's proposal to table the uniform discussion, or do you want to have discussion about this?
I make a motion to accept.
I second.
Do you have a question?
It was just quick, was it just low interest? Or is it, or never mind?
Maybe not. I'm not 100% sure of that. I think what'd be important is that when maybe we can do this in another maybe 9 months or so, that we're able to really gauge the interest properly and have the proper diligence done. And with where we are today, I don't have confidence that we can get there in the right amount of time, and it doesn't seem, I guess, prudent to be hasty with it either. So that's where the thinking's coming from.
Thank you.
So we've had one motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the proposition to table any uniform discussion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Thank you.
That's the complete optional uniform committee report.
This is what you referred to here.
Yeah,
That's it.
heck yeah. I like that. That makes so much sense.
Done.
What is the first where it says 38 in orange right there,
Where?
right? Go down, that?
It's where the median is in the distribution.
Oh, okay.
Or the
Okay.
grade level as a whole.
I see, yes.
Where it's split.
That's even more now that I know. I thought that was like a rate change. I was like, oh.
No, so they line up, I believe they just line up the scores and then the middle
Right. The
for the
38
median
is the
is the
middle.
38. So that just shows you, this is math.
That's
Can you
math.
What
do
is-
that?
That's math, I think. You clicked math, I think.
Yeah, I don't know which one I clicked though. Did I click reading?
It says math, K through 12.
Where?
Right under growth
Right
and
where it
achievement
says
by grade.
Below my grade.
Okay, so then we can go. Yeah, we can change it to reading.
Click update. Right there. It gets me every time. Now scroll down. Oh. Yeah.
No, I was just see, this is what I pulled when I went in.
Oh, that's still math.
No,
Yeah.
this is what you wanted. I saw the colors and the colors drew me in, so. We can have this at the end of the next meeting, or we can just, send it out to, I don't think there's an issue with me sending it out. Okay,
Okay, do we have a motion to, any other announcements? We have a motion to adjourn the meeting
This has been so moved.
and a second.
I've submitted.
Thank you. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
thank you. Yeah.